On Christmas Day 2025, something pretty shocking happened. While a lot of the world was celebrating, the US military launched Tomahawk missiles into northwestern Nigeria. Now, the official target was ISIS, but as you're about to see, the real story is so much more complicated. We're talking tense diplomacy, clashing stories, and a crisis that's been brewing for years. So, let's get into what was really going on here. Just listen to this. This is how a farmer named Sanusi Madabo described the moment it all went down. He was getting ready for bed when he heard this sound, like a plane crashing right outside. He and his wife rushed out, and they saw the sky glowing this bright, fiery red for hours. In an instant, a geopolitical event became terrifyingly personal. For the people living in Jabo village, that night was just pure panic and confusion. I mean, their homes were shaking, fires were breaking out, and the heat from the explosions was just intense. They'd never seen a terror attack before, and now, all of a sudden, their quiet village was at the center of a major international military operation. So what was the official story from the US military? Well, it was clean, it was precise. They said 2 Tomahawk missiles were fired at 2 specific camps where ISIS fighters were holed up, a direct surgical strike on Nigerian soil, all happening on Christmas Day. But right away, as soon as the dust started to settle, 2 very different stories began to take shape. Yeah, both the US and Nigerian governments agreed that this was a coordinated effort, but the way they talked about it, the way they framed the mission, well, that revealed a pretty deep diplomatic divide. And when you put the 2 statements side by side, wow, the difference is just night and day. The US president framed it as this mission to stop the slaughtering of Christians. But Nigeria's foreign minister, Yusuf Tugar, he came out immediately and pushed back hard. He said no, this was about protecting all Nigerians. And he made a point of saying that terrorism in the region hurts people of all faiths, especially Muslims. You see, this wasn't just a military strike, it was a battle over the story itself. And you have to understand, these strikes didn't just happen out of the blue. For months, things had been getting really tense. The US administration had been accusing Nigeria of being complicit in a so-called Christian genocide, a claim Nigeria was furiously denying. It got so heated, the African Union had to step in, calling the rhetoric dangerous and counterproductive, and basically telling the US to back off Nigeria's sovereignty. But here's the twist. Despite that public clash over the why, this was in fact a joint operation. Nigeria's foreign minister made it crystal clear that their own president, Bola Tinubu, had given full authorization for the strikes after intelligence was shared. It was framed as 2 countries working together to fight a common enemy. So, with all this high-level political drama playing out, what did it actually mean for the people on the ground in Jabo? Well, for them, it boiled down to 2 simple things: fear and uncertainty. And this right here, this just hits you. This is the human cost. For a 17-year-old girl named Balira Saidu, this wasn't about geopolitics at all. It was about her wedding plans being totally consumed by pure panic. You know, these strikes didn't just rattle buildings, they shattered people's sense of security and basically stole their joy. And into this information vacuum, you know what rushes in? Rumors. The American narrative about protecting Christians started to morph into this fear that the US was actually targeting Muslims. And in the mostly Muslim North, that rumor spread like wildfire, causing massive anxiety and even making some people think about abandoning their homes. Okay, so this brings us to a really critical part of the story. The official statements all talked about ISIS, right? A name everyone around the world knows. But security analysts who actually work in the region, they think the real target was a totally different group, a threat that's way more complex. So let's just ask it, point blank. Were these strikes really about the Islamic State? Or was that just a convenient label for a different kind of monster that's been terrorizing this part of Nigeria? A lot of analysts believe the strikes were actually aimed at this group, Lakurawa. They are what's called a hybrid threat, and that's a key term. It means they're not just your typical terrorists with a single ideology. No, they blend the money-making schemes of criminal bandits, like kidnapping for ransom and stealing cattle, with the absolute brutality of jihadist extremists. It makes them incredibly dangerous and unpredictable. And their backstory is, well, it's pretty disturbing. Lakurawa didn't just pop up as a terrorist group. Way back around 2016, community leaders who were desperate for protection because the government wasn't providing any actually invited them in to act as vigilantes against bandits. But in less than a decade, they had transformed into a government-proscribed terrorist organization. They became the monster they were hired to fight. So that just raises this huge question, right? How on earth does that happen? how do a community's protectors become its worst nightmare? Well, the answer gets at a much, much deeper problem, a total crisis of governance. Academics have a fancy name for it. They call it state fragility theory. But forget the jargon. The idea is actually super simple. When the government fails to do its basic job, provide security, schools, justice, it leaves this giant vacuum. And who rushes in to fill that void? Groups like Lakurawa. They become the de facto sort. And this isn't just some abstract theory. You can see the symptoms all over northwest Nigeria. You've got porous borders where guns and fighters just pour in. You've got massive youth unemployment, creating a huge pool of guys with no future. The government has almost no real presence in rural areas, and the police and military just can't provide consistent security. It's the perfect storm. Okay, so the missile smoke has cleared, but the debate is really just getting started. These strikes have kicked off this really difficult, really necessary conversation about national sovereignty, about foreign intervention, and about the entire future of Nigeria's security. And the debate is fierce. On one side, you have people saying, look, terrorism is a global problem, and Nigeria gave its permission, so this was a totally justified collaboration. But on the other side, critics are saying, whoa, hold on. Foreign troops firing missiles on our soil is a violation of our sovereignty. It could stir up anti-American anger and actually make things worse. But for a lot of analysts, this is the real heart of the matter. Bombing campaigns, no matter how precise they are ultimately just a distraction. They don't build schools, they don't create jobs, and they don't fix the deep-seated corruption and government failure that allowed a group like Lakurawa to rise up in the first place. And make no mistake, this story is not over, not by a long shot. The message from the US Defense Secretary was pretty unambiguous. This wasn't a one-and-done deal. This could be the beginning of a whole new phase of deeper US military involvement in the region, which leaves all of us with this final, massive question. As Nigeria faces this incredibly complex web of insecurity, are foreign airstrikes a helpful tool to bring back some order? Or are they just a powerful spark that's going to ignite an even bigger, more dangerous fire? The answer